Hello and welcome to the first stream series for the spring split rather of 2021 for UGL. My name is Lai Stuya, better known as Stu, and tonight I'm casting with Mac Dewey. How you doing, Mac?
I am doing great, Stu. Really happy to be in the casting booth with you for tonight's UGL action. We got a really fun one with Team 404, excuse me, Esports taking on Virtual Esports as we're going to get our first taste of these teams on the Rift.
It's going to be a nice series to see, and it's the first series of many for this split. This is actually in the Cloud division for this game of Virtual versus Team 404. So it's awesome to see like where these teams are going to start out and see, especially for these first few series. Like there are times where some teams just stand out upon another.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. And I'm going to be looking at Alibaba on the side of Virtual Esports to really potentially shine in week number 1. Looking like a little bit of a mid-carry action, maybe some Yasuo, maybe some LeBlanc, and no boring mid-lane mage matchups for us here, hopefully, tonight to start us off.
I'm hoping for spicy picks. I think that anything can really happen, especially with I've seen in UGL things get a little bit spicier. Definitely some more unique picks, but hey, they can work. A lot of teams can even build around more niche picks, and I'm hoping to see something out of this.
And looking over at the side of Team 404, oh my goodness, we're going to have to work that out as we go through the night as the draft wall is going to be starting. I'm going to be looking, I wonder if Jag's Money signature Ezreal pick is going to be taken off of the board by Virtual Esports. Looking at the OP.GG's, a little bit of an Ezreal one trick. I wonder if that champion's taken away. What else is he going to be able to bring out? The ADC meta does have a lot of flexible, I think, pretty easy options like Tristana to maybe whip out, so he should be just fine. But I think it's something to keep in the back of our minds, Stu.
And it's something to always. It's interesting to see where a lot of these teams, there's different strategies to opt for just in draft alone. Where, like you said, if there is someone that is a, proficient player of one champion, even if it's not the top of the meta, you kind of question like, do we go for more of the power picks and like take away the things that are stronger, or do we let this person have something that they have so much experience on?
Well, we're seeing right now as the draft unfolds, Stu, that the name of the game is going to be comfort, as Ollie's mentioned Yasuo is already going to be taken off of the board, as well as the Garen, but the meta Hecarim going to be popping up a little bit, I think, with the engage potential, and I feel like it's really underrated how Onslaught of Shadows gives Hecarim unstoppable. Really makes for an incredible engaged champion and takes away some comfort away from Virtual.
I would completely agree. It's definitely one of the top tier picks that, I mean, especially if you are on red side, it's Hecarim first pick is typically the thing we're seeing in a lot of competitive games. But some of the stranger ones are, I mean, maybe not in a sense, but seeing Fiddlesticks and Garen, I think are probably more specified bans. What does that really tell you?
Well, the Fiddle in Gangplank and the Garen, all of those targeted at the specific laners for both of these squads. Red Rift on the side of 404 is an absolute Gangplank connoisseur, and taking that safe laner away from him, I think, is a really solid strategy to try to pick apart 404 to start off week number 1. And we see some picks now coming in. Udyr first blue pick, super duper safe. Really like that from 404. But the Volibear Orianna follow up with that, Stu. That's a lot of easy team fight engage. I really like that from Virtual Esports. Keep the game plan simple, and when it comes down to execution, I think they have that at least going in their favor. But look at the Ezreal lock-in.
Jag's Money picking up his Ezreal, so it's something that Virtual Esport is saying that they don't have a ban for it. You'd have to assume that they think they have a good answer, so it must be a good amount of confidence from them at the very least.
And not only that, Vin is going to take us back to season 10. I might be in a time machine because it's Syndra versus Orianna in the mid lane. As soon as the Yasuo is taken off of the board, my fear comes true, Stu, and we might have a snoozer in the mid lane. Hopefully, Kraid on this Tristana is going to be able to make things interesting on the Rift for us.
It'll definitely a bit more of a scaling game for that mid lane. I mean, two control mages with that long range and just overall zone control.
Hmm.
They're definitely wanting to, or at least virtual esport. They got that volley Ori combo. Something is just absolutely horrifying to have to deal with. So much engaged potential and just the ability to, entirely wipe out 404 if they're mispositioned. But at the same
Hmm.
time, Syndra and Ezreal are great picks. To be able to create that distance, and I'm really hoping that not only Atari on the Udyr is able to, tank up as much as he can and create the space for his carries, but I really
Yeah.
want to see what else 404 picks up.
Well, I do like actually that virtual esports deciding to take away just some easy supports. I'm actually kind of surprised to, well, 404 took away the Seraphine because virtual esports, that's like 404. 404 esports taking away the Seraphine on the blue side. I think that's kind of a no brainer at this point. I mean, a Seraphine with the Volibear and Orianna combination, Stu, that is just a melting pot of team fight goodness that I think virtual esports would feel comfortable just potentially running away with the game in the mid stages around third Drake, fourth Drake. Instead, they're going to have to go with the Nautilus. That's going to make things a little bit harder for Mega Pony to try to come up big for the team with these engages.
I think, especially with having Kraid on Tristana as well, Tristana Nautilus is going to be just a very aggressive lane. And, actually from the side of 404, where they see it coming where taking out the Leona ban at the least and, having a Seraphine off the table always feels good. But they have the idea that, they do want to pick engage with their Tristana that they had in first pick. And one of
Yeah.
the best answers to that, we now see that Inertia Gaming is going to bring the Rel. So it's so good to where Virtual does decide to jump on them. It could create some chaos if the Rel's able to basically counter engage and try to turn the fight.
Both of these teams are looking forward to these big bot lane fights, I think, Stu. The Ezreal Rel, though, in the early game, I'm a little bit nervous. I think you pointed it out a little bit, talking about the Nautilus Tristana combination together. It is going to dominate over the Ezreal Rel that I really don't think are going to have a lot of priority. And if the teleports are right, from Petite Adam, and if the ganks are there from this volley bear, Pinson has a real opportunity to play the game through the bot lane and just run over the team fighting stage with this Orianna in the mid lane.
And it definitely makes you think that if that is going to be Virtual strategy, we
Yeah.
think how will 404 respond with something like Ezreal Rel, where you can play very safe and you can, really play far back and try to minimize the engage as much as possible. And they think,
Mhm.
if there's chaos in the bot lane, do we focus the top side? Do we go for Red Rift to get him ahead on the Gnar versus the Aatrox?
Yeah.
It's, they've got, or do they just respond to bot lane? Do they actually match the pressure? And, we have 4v4 team fights or team fights 5 minutes in. We'll have to see.
Yeah. Hopefully 404 aren't coming up with any errors when trying to coordinate some of those bot lane fights, because I think the teleport from the top lane Gnar is going to be absolutely massive. Red Rift has an opportunity in this game, I think, to come up big for the bot lane if they're getting set behind early on. That could open themselves up to pushing ahead in lane, being aggressive, and maybe opening up a little Mega Gnar journey down to the bot lane to really wreak some havoc, because the Rel follow-up and the Udyr, especially once items get online, a little turbo chem tank added to the mix, 404 can really start fights easily and try to capitalize on when Red Rift, is ready to get angry.
I'll tell you what, I just had my heartstrings were tugged as I see the old Volibear splash art on screen where like that was just a different creature. That was a better time, because now with Pinson having the ability, I do think we see a lot of dive potential with the usage of the Volibear ult, basically have his own Ohm Wrecker and see what they
Yeah.
can do with the especially as you said, the Tristana Nautilus down in bot lane. And otherwise, again, I'm really interested to see how Atari and Pinson are actually going to handle this jungle matchup. It is one of the more popular ones, being Udyr and Volibear.
Hmm.
Virtual seeming okay with the fact that if they did 404 were to or first pick the Udyr, they had the Volibear response there. So hopefully
Exactly.
Penson's comfortable with it. We have seen Udyr wreak havoc, especially in many of my solo queue games, to say the least. And
Right,
so
right.
we'll have to see, where the priority is going to lie.
In this mid lane matchup, while potentially boring, we'll have to watch, are any of these mid lane players going to make a name for themselves in being able to dominate this type of matchup, because I think there's a real ability to showcase some skill nuance in matchups like the Syndra versus Orianna, because there's a lot of subtleties, because there's a lot of different mini interactions, because there's constant dark spears and robot Orianna balls getting thrown all over the place. If you get hit by a lot of abilities, even if it's mage on mage, you're going to get taken down. So I wonder which of these mid laners are going to have their blue suede shoes on for tonight.
We'll have to see and experience it firsthand. So before that, though, we are going to bring it to a short break. So right after, we will bring you game one of Team 404 versus Virtual Esports. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a bit. And welcome to the first stream game for the UGL Spring Split of 2021. And starting off into the game here, we do have 404 versus Virtual, and we're starting it off spicy with a possible five-man invade, it looks like.
Stu, it looks like your crystal ball was right on the money in Virtual. Going for this aggressive level 1 play makes a whole lot of sense. They have the pick potential with the Nautilus, a potential flash follow-up from Pinson on this Volley Bear pick would have been a pretty easy kill, but well done there by Inertia Gaming to just decide to back off. But I do want to point out 404 unable to get any sort of vision in response to that invade. So it's kind of a trade of nothing here early on.
Yeah, they weren't able to find anything from it, but we do see that 404 is just holding the standard 5 point, making sure they do have vision of all those different entrances, even though we did see that Rel was able to spot him. But Virtual backs off, and otherwise we're getting a pretty standard leash with each of the junglers just starting on their reds for now.
And that is potentially going to open up Pinson to come down to the bot lane early. Meanwhile, Atari maybe going to be able to focus on Red Rift on this Gnar pick and maybe help him out. Atari on the Udyr going for a pretty interesting full clear. It looks like actually he might not be ganking anytime soon. Pinson doing the same exact thing. We better buckle up for a slow early game as these teams are wanting to get to the team fighting phase safely for the time being.
So looking at these different comps right now, so where do you think for each 404 and Virtual,
Yeah.
where do you think their priorities should be for each team?
Well, I think if you look at the side of Virtual, this game gets a whole heck of a lot easier if Kraid is able to get ahead on this Tristana. But look at the way 404 right now are managing the bot lane. Getting that level 2 advantage first is absolutely massive, and it's going to actually slow down the Mega Pony in Kraid down a bit for the time being. That's really awesome solo lane play. Just a really solid job there from 404 on an individual level. In terms of their game plan, Stu, I got to be thinking that this Gnar Aatrox is going to be really close for the majority of the game, and a slight advantage going either way. With top laners, especially if they're put on an island, the slightest tipping of the scales in one or another favor can be absolutely game changing, especially early on.
Yeah, it's kind of why I was definitely curious when we did see, as you mentioned, where each jungler was starting with Atari almost having completed his full clear and now going for that top scuttle.
Yeah.
If we're going to see Petite Adam in some trouble here, he does manage to put a ward to get himself a quick little eye in the river there if he is anticipating in this. And he does see that, we do have Pinson in the bot side. He would not be able to respond. And right now, he's just going to sweep the ward, not going to go for it. So well spotted out by Virtual.
It was a solid effort, I think, Stu, at the end of the day by Red Rift to try to set up his jungler for success. But taking a look at how these junglers have been pathing so far, I think there's a slight advantage right now for 404 and Atari on this Udyr pick. The Deer, with all of his bear stance procs, is just moving faster than the Volley Bear. We'll have to see if Pinson may be looking to try to gank the mid lane, but Vin doing a solid job playing safe.
We do see that 404, was able to push up the wave a bit and even win for some deep vision there. I don't believe that they spotted how deep Pinson was in their own jungle, but
Right.
Vin is also kind of aware. It's nice to see that these laners actually do have at least some sense of map awareness into where these junglers could be, knowing that a lot of the pressure that's applied from these games, it very well could be the scale tipped one way or the other for how quickly this could snowball.
Exactly. The first dragon of the game is going to be pretty critical. Spawning in just about 10 seconds here, Stu. We get our first potential incentive for the teams to try to get out of their laning holes and maybe go on a little bit of an adventure in this game here of League of Legends. And what I really would like to see is how these teams are going to be able to set up their lanes for some of these potential fights in the river. Who is going to cause who to make the first mistake in this game?
We do see that, with the Aatrox here having a massive wave up in the top lane. Pinson is in this top side jungle, but I don't think he's going to look for Red Rift just yet. But, it's a huge wave that's crashing under his turret right now. And I was a little worried that if Atari jumped on, the opportunity, seeing the huge wave they had crashed, if they were going to dive the Aatrox. But it looks like Adam's just able to safely farm for now. And it looks like that's what's happening all around the map. We're not seeing too much action just yet. As you said, both junglers are just full clearing yet again. It's almost mirrored, actually, if you're watching the map. They have like nearly identical movements, which is pretty crazy, but we might see a head-on collision here as both of them are sweeping each other. Atari actually going for the stone on the Volibear. He's actually going to start bopping him with the Fury, but massive shield coming out from the Volibear. Pinson knows that his bot lane is not going to be able to collapse having Tristan in that lane still, so they're not going to be able to pick up anything just yet.
And you pointed out, Stu, how similar these two clears have been between these junglers in the first couple minutes of this game. Yet, Atari is up to Pinson just now able to clear the bottom side of his jungle. Slowly but surely, that advantage is going to build up in this specific jungle matchup. Atari is going to be just fine, slowly accruing an advantage and getting to a point where he can kind of outstat Pinson just flat out based on his farm advantage. What Pinson is going to have to do here is what he's doing right now, looking to make big plays on the map right now with Pony.
And Pony, it's this nice little jungle support duo that can actually make a lot happen. It's such a much more fearful situation when not only having a Volibear walk into your jungle, but a Nautilus hovering him. And Nurture right now is trying to clear the vision, maybe even walk up with Ezreal to see if they can kind of push Lipson off Raptors here. But the Raptors are going to reset, and Virtual's just going to have to back off for this for now.
That is not ideal for Pinson. He wanted to try to take some resources away from Atari, but we actually see that Udyr is going to be just fine picking up red buff and then rotating, doing yet another clear. In Pinson, just not as efficient and effective. Wasn't able to clear Wolves, only cleared Gromp. Yes, these subtle advantages are somewhat small in the early stages of the game, but if it keeps building up, Atari is going to be a big threat for kind of the time we're expecting these teams to finally go after first blood, because we're 8 minutes into a gold division game and these teams are playing really, really well to start us off, but we got some action in the top lane.
Red Rift wants that first blood. He's able to stun up Adam against the wall there, and there's more action happening in the ball as the cameras go back and forth. Pony's going to get stunned up by the Rel, and more damage is coming out from Jags. That is going to be the heal burn from Creed as Crade, probably picks up first blood for Virtual Esports right there. And even though there was that skirmish up in the top lane, I thought it might be Red Rift picking up the first blood, but that's going to be Crade down bot lane.
The teams heard my call. Fortunately, we get some action in this one, and it was the level advantage in the bot lane. The Tristana pick that we kind of predicted would eventually develop some sort of advantage in the lane due to the natural push pressure, was able to have the Buster Shot available for that bot lane fight. Atari trying to do something in the bot lane, or top lane, Stu, but not going to be able to get Adam this time around. The Rift Herald, however, is available and very soloable by Atari right now in this Udyr pick.
I do love how safe Adam is playing. I am not a top laner myself, but yeah. I assume Gnar is just not fun to ever play against. And so for him to, not be greedy for CS when he needs to, and to be aware of the jungle pressure that Atari is applying, because as we're seeing, Pinson is hovering around that bot side more often, and Atari's taken advantage as the first Herald here is picked up at about 9.5 minutes into the game.
And I wonder which lane he's going to consider trying to put that Herald in. I wonder if you try to continue to build up this advantage Red Rift has in the top lane. Adam, while he's been surviving, he's also not really in the ideal position that you want your Aatrox in the top lane to stew. You want him able to get some huge teleport flanks off and decimate the backline. But with how things are looking, with how slippery the this 404 bot lane. Is the Ezreal really hard to get onto if you're Aatrox? I feel like he needs to try to find a good teleport flank, and he is in the top lane. We got to fight mid.
You said you wanted some action. The shockwave for Orianna is going to take Nursha very low. That Tristana bomb might be enough, and the flash forward is going to secure it. Alibaba is going to pick that one up, even having the exhaust burned at the end from Nursha. And Virtual picking up their second kill of the game, and now the first dragon.
Hey, if the 4v4, the one you were talking about during the draft, Stu, is going to end up going the way of Virtual, they will absolutely take it. We talked about how they wanted to play around the bot lane, and it just seemed like 404, just kind of like I wasn't ready for that fight at all, as Vin's getting Ollie low.
And a Syndra ult is all Vin's going to need. As man takes down actually 404's first kill of the game, but Pony's upset, trying to avenge his fallen friend. He does get the root off for the Nautilus auto, but Pinson isn't able to follow up in time. And, you know, even though Virtual had a good lead there, 404 shows that, you know, they're still here to play.
Then in these front-to-back team fights on the Syndra pick, I think could really find himself dominating, especially with the early CS lead. Those big scatter the weaks could be just as impactful as a potential shockwave. And if Vin continues to build up a lead, as Red Rift's getting kind of low.
Getting really low. Even the pullback from the Aatrox does land there, but Atari wants in on the action. The ganks didn't work before, but maybe this will be the one that they can find. He's able to buff him down as fast as he can. That's the bear slaps coming out from Udyr to pick off Adam from Virtual.
That's going to be a big pick. We talked about it, Stu. There's a reason I wanted 404 to play around this top lane, and now the Rift Herald, exactly as my crystal ball informed me, to try to get this Gnar even more ahead, to try to get Red Rift on the rest of the map, because when you combine the Gnar ultimate with Nursha Gaming's engages, the fights become real easy to execute if 404 can continue developing this advantage. That's going to be first turret gold going over to their side in the top lane.
Even though the kills are even, it's a nearly 2k gold advantage in the favor of 404 right now, having that first blood turret off the map with the use of that Rift Herald. And it's nice to give credit to Red Rift and Atari there, knowing when to actually pop that Herald, get the most out of it, so you're not having to waste more autos on plates. And another kill for Vin, actually, as he just casually walks up to Alibaba there, and another Syndra ult is all he's going to need to pick up just the second kill of the game already.
Ollie's blue suede shoes might just be in the closet right now, Stu, because he is getting hit by a lot of skill shots right now. Vin is popping off. I believe he has a 2-level lead. I'm not sure if Ollie's level 9 or level 10. We'll find out as soon as he respawns right now. He is, in fact, only level 9. A 2-level lead at this point in the game for a Syndra, Stu, is crazy good. Vin is playing out of his mind right now, and it just gets easier to go from here. Verdant Barrier not as strong. MR is going to be difficult to build up, and he's just going to keep pressing R.
It's hilarious to see this fight up in the top lane. Not two wet noodles exactly, but Red Rift actually not a wet noodle anymore. He's a big noodle. Mega Gnar is going to be able to take out Aatrox there, even though he got, the jungle pressure is making the difference up in this top side with Atari helping him out. That's Red Rift having a scary lead as well.
It's all fun and games in the top lane, Stu, until the Hulk comes out. Red Rift, a big play, extending a solo advantage. Kraid and Megapony are going to have to be careful to not get caught out, while Virtual have bought themselves some time in this game by picking up the first dragon just a little bit ago. Right now, the solo lane pressure that 404 is exerting right now, I think should be able to make up for the bot lane disadvantage. We'll have to see if Kraid is going to be the hero for Virtual in this match.
If there's any champion that can do that, we've seen a lot of Tristanas in this most recent meta really being able to take on that weight and can be a solo carry, once you get a couple items under your belt. Right now, Tristana is sitting on a lot of gold, 2,200 that she has banked up right now, and even Orianna sitting on 1,200 as well. So a lot of these guys, they're probably thinking they need to reset soon. They're trying to see if they can take these turrets off the map. They do a Pinson down here to see if they can get this bot lane outer turret. but we might get some action because Vin isn't going to let this happen. Atari's on the way as well. The True Shot Barrage is going to hit all three members of Virtual, but the Scatter of the Week is going to be a two-man stun. Pony's going to be the first one to fall. Atari picking up that kill, and Kraid going a little bit too far is going to be Vin on a killing spree, as Atari seeing if he can find a third one for 404 right now. The flash forward into the bear slap is going to be a rel stun to help Atari pick up his third kill of the game.
404, find the fight in the bot lane. That's exactly what I was looking for Vin to do. Come into the bot lane and be the carry your team needs. 302 so far. Level 12 is dominating on the Rift right now and is starting the spring split off with an absolutely fantastic start.
They do have the kill lead, and right now they've finally picked up their first dragon, and we're going to see it's going to be a Cloud Soul for each of these teams to go for, being even on the dragons right now. But as you mentioned, there's a 3.5 gold lead in the side of 404 right now, so it is something, you know, they do need to keep in mind for Virtual to start picking up these bounties. We do see the 300 gold bounties on both the Syndra and the Udyr, so something they do need to keep in mind that might get them back into the game a little heavier.
Exactly, Stu. That's what I'm thinking too. Right now, Virtual really, I think, need to try to utilize also this Wombo combo potential. Ollie, I know he's hurting a little bit right now in the one-on-one, but he's got that Luden's Tempest completed. That's going to be the Rift Herald going their way. Virtual may be down, but it's not over till that Nexus explodes. 404 still a long game away. We're not in the end game just yet. We'll have to pay attention to, I think, as we get into the 20+ minute mark, is how are these teams going to play not only around the dragons on the bottom side of the map, but Baron is something these teams are going to be able to try to pick up. Right now, the dragons are one apiece, and the map is wide open for plays to be made.
I'm really hoping that the Tristana, I still think she is a lot stronger than 404 might believe right now, but it is the fear that, you know, you have so many threats to deal with as an AD carry this game, not only the Syndra that has the potential to one-hit you in the blink of an eye, but you also have the Udyr and the Gnar running at you, and right now Red Rift is trying to run down Adam, the Stridebreaker forward, not going to be able to land the stun, but the ult's going to be enough to do it, to take that Q right into the face of the Aatrox, and Adam's not having the greatest game, as right now Red Rift is just dominating this top side.
He's able to get the Mega and unleashes all his anger out onto Adam, who's just trying to play a little Aatrox. But he's in the way of Red Rift's first dub here to start off the season. And Atari looking for a gank. I think Pinson is going to be just fine bringing down the Storm to hopefully scare away 404. But right now, Stu, they have a 3,000 gold lead. Not bad at all as we hit the 18-minute mark.
Now, I did see that Pinson did ult away there on the Volibear as the Udyr stunned him. I don't think he needed to, but it does show that right now, Virtual, I think they are sending the message to each other that it's like, listen, we don't want to take any fights we don't want. Right now, Pinson might be going into one of those right now. He is there with Adam, but the Scatter of the Week does go wide. They know they're there, and I don't think they want to take it. Alibaba not going to respond just yet until Kraid is here and maybe Pony, as they're trying to chase out 404 out of their own topside jungle.
Virtual trying to protect their territory, trying to hang on to this match as best they can. Luckily, that defensive kind of play there, sending a lot of members, going to open them up here.
A huge team fight is coming out. The Tristana is going to jump right into melee range. A shutdown is going to go over to Pinson, and a 3-man shockwave from Virtual is nearly going to take him out. Inertia Game is going to be the first one. Jags Money is going to be the second. They have Red Rift all the way in the backside, but Atari is here. That Aatrox is tanking up the turret, and he's going to take a little too much as Atari is now on a rampage. Even though Virtual were able to pick up 3 solid kills to help get themselves back in the game the best they can.
That is exactly what they needed to do, and they picked the perfect time to look for that engage. Not only did they have the numbers advantage, but Red Rift, one of the big carries right now for 404, he simply didn't have Mega in on the mini Gnar, with these team fights being dictated by who's going to find the first Wombo combo, who's going to be able to one-shot another. If he's not starting off the fight, or at least able to follow up with the Mega Gnar ultimate, I mean, he's not doing a whole lot, just throwing that boomerang in to a huge crowd looking forward. We'll have to see how well 404 are going to be able to play around the objectives still, because I think they have a lot of poke available. They have a lot of setup. Ezreal, Jags Money going to be able to throw a lot of Mystic shots to try to zone away the potential engage. Virtual have to be decisive when they're looking for trying to open up objectives.
I mean, overall, I do have to give it to 404 this game because even though a couple of mishaps have happened, bringing a couple kills to the side of Virtual, overall, they are playing a very dominant game when you look all around the map. And right
Yeah.
now, they are showing control of this bot side river right now. The Herald is popped for Adam up in the top side. There is going to have to be possibly some response to this, but they are having the focus on the Dragon right now. Atari zoning off the members of Virtual. And right now, Penson is even already at half health before this fight begins. We do have the Dragon in 5 seconds. We're going to be able to see who starts off the fight. And right now, they're kind of just going back and forth as Penson trying to see if he can manage his way in there, be the big, beefy front line that Virtual needs to get this started. The Dragon already at 2K. It's already looking at 404. Nautilus ult is going to land, and that's actually going to be 404 being able to pick up that Dragon. Massive TPs are actually coming in here, and that's actually going to be a lot of AoE damage here as Red Rift is taken out, as well as Nursha, and already Virtual are actually just wiping the fight, but Jags Money is still alive, and he's able to just knock out the rest of the members with Atari, picking up another double kill and just finally taking out an ace against Virtual.
What a huge fight there from the side of 404. Vin with the huge scatter of the week. Red Rift with a huge Gnar ultimate. Everyone doing their job. And funny enough, at the end of the day, Jags Money still at full HP on this Ezreal. I think that team fight really came down to target selection from the side of Virtual. Red Rift, that health bar got real low, and they weren't able to finish off the Gnar when they needed to, when he was still in mini, before he was able to get that ultimate off. It was a really solid initial engage, and the 3-man shockwave from Ollie, Stu, it gave me hope. I saw it right in front of me, the stars aligning for Virtual to try to make a comeback in this game. But unfortunately, I think the damage just wasn't really there for them with the follow-up off of that shockwave.
It was pretty crazy to see because, as you said, I wasn't sure which way that was going to go for a second. I was making sure that, 404, yes, they did pick up the Dragon, so they've already won out the gate. And I thought, I'm like, I already see Red Rift getting low. Maybe they trade this off. Maybe they actually get ace with the Shockwave actually being able to set up a huge play for Virtual. And, that's their trade-off. They get ace, but, they pick up the second Dragon working towards Soul. But 404 end up on top, and I think a lot of that was Jags Money there on the Ezreal. And, he doesn't have a million kills, but a lot of it is the assists. And I think how much DPS that he is able to put out in these fights. And I think it is really, with the setup coming out from Atari and Red Rift, as well as Nursha Gaming on the Rel, it's basically giving Jags Money and Ven everything they need to help succeed.
And I want to point out right now, with the advantage that 404 is accruing right now, when it comes down to these compositions that are going back and forth in terms of team fighting, look at the 2,000 gold advantage right now for Atari, the 1,000 gold advantage for this Gnar. We see on the side of Virtual, it's going to be up to Kraid to really pop off in these fights, but the way 404 is playing, they're not allowing him to have a big impact in these team fights. In the defensive items really start to build up, and they're extra special when it's early on, but Penson, he's wanting this fight, not going to be able to get it though, as Jags Money throwing a true shot barrage as a parting gift.
Yeah, no, Penson wants something to happen. You can start to see, especially when teams do fall a little bit behind. You did mention the gold lead that, Atari has been able to accumulate, but at the end of the day, when you're, Penson is something like Volibear, you're able to do your job, even if you are 0-10, you're still Volibear, you can still make plays happen, you can still be the big beefy front line to help get a fight started. It's part of so much of the value, but as you said with Adam, it hurts a lot more on an Aatrox. You are wanting more of those damage items to be able to go head to head with the Gnar. Because right now, Red Rift, having that Stride Breaker is just such a pain to deal with, and I assume finishing off this Thormail in this next reset. But it's so hard for an Aatrox with that reduced healing to be able to fight him, let alone even having items at all. So it hurts really bad, but right now, at least in your eyes, what's the win condition for Virtual? What do you see from them to be able to get back into this game?
Well, I'm looking at the aggressive item choices coming out of the 404 really damage dealers at this moment in time. Vin doesn't have a stopwatch at the moment, and right now he's a little bit at risk for the insane engage potential that Pinson really has to offer. I think they got to try to take out the Syndra and the Ezreal before they focus on, well, Nersha Gaming's right in front of us with this huge Rel ultimate. He's knocking us up. He's keeping us in the Magnet Storm. Let's just focus on him. No, even though Nersha Gaming has 4 deaths, he's been taking his life, putting it on the line for the boys and making it work. I know Jags Money and Vin are happy with how the support's been doing in this game, but right now, looking at the Dragon priority, Virtual putting a large emphasis on trying to contest this next Cloud Drake. I don't know if they need to do this, Stu, as it's not Cloud Soul just yet for 404.
You know, they are establishing vision. They've already made up their mind, and even another thing on their mind is being able to pick off Adam here down in the bot lane. He's going to flash away, but he's still getting stunned up by Atari. Jags Money is a little bit further behind, and they're not going to be able to catch him just yet, but that is the Aatrox ult and flash pot for this next dragon that is live up now, and Penson's actually on the other side.
Penson, don't do it again. You don't need to steal the soul. Don't be a hero.
They're letting it go for now. Adam is still here on the side, on the bot side, but that's actually a lot of damage coming out from the WQ from the Ezreal, and a huge True Shot Barrage is going to hit 4 members of Virtual. They're all taken so very low, and Penson going to have to walk out of the bot side of the fight for Style, walking away the best she can, and that is going to be Alibaba falling, and that is lastly going to be Kraid falling for a double kill, going over almost another ace as Penson hardly escapes with his life, but right now 404 do manage to get the upper hand and are now looking towards Baron.
Virtual fighting for, well, really virtually nothing. The Drake was already down. They wanted to fight because they saw 404 grouped up, and that's really their worst case scenario. Not only that, Pinson looking for the engage on to the tanks, not ideal. This is looking like it's going to be Baron.
Baron is going to go to the side of 404, and we do see the pings coming out from Virtual. They're pinging their turrets. They're saying, listen, all we got to do, we just got to turtle this out. You know, they're going to just try to siege and try to push us in as hard as we can and try to hold the line. Unfortunately, the only wave clear they can really rely on being that Orianna. Alternatively, though, Kraid does finish his Lord Doms, and I think it's really going to help when it comes to shredding the front line of 404. But looking alternatively at the other side, they do have a very scary Ezreal for 404. Jags Money nearly having his Sorelda's Grudge on the side of his armor penetration. So honestly, each of these carries are in such a strong spot right now. We do see the Syndra also hitting level 16. It is a massive point to be getting that 3-point ult here for the Syndra at 27 minutes in already. So it's going to see, you know, who can Vin pick off and who's Jags able to clean up.
Yeah, not only is Vin level 16, but so is Red Rift on the Gnar. That's a 2-level lead for both solo laners, and that's come off of these dominant team fights. 404 staying cool when it comes to the objective control, when it comes to these clutch fights. They've been calm, and so far they're starting off the spring split on a pretty good note, as we'll have to see how well they're going to be able to close out this game. Right now, they're doing a beautiful job utilizing the top lane advantage they have to generate pressure in multiple lanes with the Baron buff. Not everyone's just running it down mid. No, this is Tactical League Legends right here. And look at those 3 cannon minions and the damage!
Taking out Alibaba yet again, and we can see the strength of a Syndra right here as 404 knocking on the door of Virtual's base right now. Pony does manage to get a hook in, and that's actually going to be the Rel engaging. Tari's on the side. True Shot Barrage does come out, and Jags are just getting so much free damage here on the side. They're getting so much damage tanked out with the Gnar here. Red Rift isn't even taken low, and neither is Jags as Kraid. The only one left alive is going to try to kite out, see if he can maybe get a kill off on an Atari, but they know to back off as there's only 1 member left on Virtual. I don't think Kraid's going to be able to do anything. He's trying to bring the minions, but no, that's not going to be enough as Jags Money picks up the ace for 404 as they close out this first game of the series.
Able to do it in under 30 minutes after the Baron buff got online. Well, I think we saw with Vin in that play, just how much he was feeling himself. And from the side of virtual esports, I think, Stu, really the key engages just coming in a little too late. We saw right there around the inhibitor there at the end of the game just how quickly Vin could die if the CC landed on him, if the hook was put in the right spot. Unfortunately, it just came at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Not only did 404 snowball, but as you said, they were working as one collective unit. It was very obvious they all had the same game plan in mind. And when
Yep.
it came to executing that, they did that pretty well. So, I mean, what it has to be, though, it's the best of three series. We definitely will see. I think Virtual does have the opportunity to where they had the carries in a decent spot, but
Yep.
it's hard to once you start to slip a little bit. Some teams rather will just completely take advantage and steamroll.
Yep.
Right down the lanes. It's tough to say, but honestly, it was very well played by both. And the rest of the series, I think, will be even better because of it.
And with the teams going to be swapping sides for game number 2 on the side of 404, well, Stu, I'm a little worried for Virtual because they're going to have the counter pick opportunity for Red 5. Now imagine if Vin or Red Rift get the ideal matchup they want. Keep in mind, it was Adam who picked the Aatrox right into the Nard. That was the Red 5 pick. And unfortunately, just really didn't work out for him. This time in the next draft, I'm going to be looking for what sort of power picks Virtual are going to be picking for themselves.
We'll see how they switch it up for game 2. But before that, we are going to bring it to a short break. So to find out how the rest of the series goes, I mean, Team 404 versus Virtual Esports, we still got plenty of League of Legends to go. So in a little bit, we'll bring it right back into game 2 of UGL for the spring split of 2021. Don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back for the first series here of UGL Team 404 versus Virtual Esport. Starting to get into game two here after that first game one. MacDewey, man, we definitely saw some action.
Oh
What are
yeah.
your thoughts coming out of game one?
The solo laners for 404 absolutely showed up in what was a fantastic first game from them. I also think someone who kind of went under our radar on the side of 404 that I think did a really solid job was Atari on that Udyr pick, who was able, as we talked about quite a bit in the early game, not so much later on, because, bear slapping around kind of gets thrown under and covered up by all the huge scatter the weaks and our ultimates that were coming through. But he was certainly still there, causing a lot of noise, making a huge ruckus of things, and setting up his team for success. If anything, the deer was just the bait in this one, and really Vin shined through. I even think Jag's money on the Ezreal, who did a really solid job in terms of his positioning in team fights. Really, just as a whole, 404 with their team fighting stages, with their dragon control and objective control, really just made it hard for Virtual to kind of find a way back into that game. And I think that's why we kind of saw Pinson trying to grab at straws, trying to engage on whatever was moving in front of him.
I'd absolutely agree. So, I mean, coming into game two here as we get into draft shortly,
Yeah.
what do you think what do you think their priorities are to switch up for this game two to see if they can maybe come back in the series?
Well, we'll have to see how Petit Adam is going to be able to respond in the top lane. As I mentioned at the end of game number one, that Aatrox Gnar matchup was something he signed up for with the red 5 pick going Aatrox. I wonder if we might even see Gnar pop up in the bans to just force a less safe option out of Red Rift to make the lane potentially a little bit more even, because I don't know if Adam is going to be able to afford to play into the Gnar. Maybe he'll end up picking it up. We'll have to see, though, because that GP coming out of Red Rift as well is another champion of his Virtual are going to have to worry about.
It's something to mention, though, despite Adam was falling behind, later and later on to the
Yeah.
game, he soaked up so much jungle pressure. I mean, it basically left, mid lane, there was a bit of action, even though it was mostly 1v1 there. But, Pinson was, giving a lot of his attention to the bot side. We saw Atari was on the top side. That's sometimes the trade of the way it goes. Sometimes you play weak side. And I think Adam did a good job of holding on. And right now, Virtual, I mean, it's one of those things, as you said, where 404, I don't know if you can let them have comfort picks like Jag's money on the Ezreal.
Yep,
Like, it's one of those
exactly.
things that if you hand it to them, obviously 404 has shown, like, okay, we'll take it. We'll show you what we can do with it. It's why it's our most
Yeah.
played. But we'll have to see what changes up in draft and, maybe a different approach, maybe coming out from both teams, and maybe 404 switches it up from last time. And right now, I just think Virtual, it's got to be something that if that same game does happen, if
Yep.
it's similar drafts, they just got to slow down the game a bit.
And I think Alibaba just looked out of his comfort zone on that Orianna pick. As I mentioned in the first draft of the night, as soon as we saw that Yasuo taken off of the board, of course, because I might have cast or cursed Ollie in this one. Hopefully he finds a way to turn around his series in this one, because I'll be looking for him to really reach his potential if Virtual are going to be able to make a splash in the Cloud Division.
Syndra's very hard once she gets a little bit of a lead, right? Able to stun you
Yeah.
once and kill you just in the blink of an eye. I think Alibaba, despite having that disadvantage where, she did get blown up a couple times, we still saw great shockwaves that Virtual was able to almost capitalize on, and it almost turned several different skirmishes. And we did see in almost every fight, despite them going 404's favor, you still saw the potential that Virtual almost turned. Like
Oh
every
yeah.
bad skirmish that happened, they still almost ended up getting something out of it. So I think there's definitely something to say for them that they do have the capability to
Absolutely.
be able to win a fight. They just maybe need to establish their own leads, first time around.
I think certainly if some of those fights are a lot more even, that Virtual did find the big shockwaves. Ollie was really doing a solid job finding those big ultimates despite kind of the weak early laning phase. Pinson going to be put right back on the volley bear after the Udyr and Hecarim are taken off of the board. A pretty decent first pick, but I wonder, even if you go a different route, I wonder how much of a contested pick Volibear is right now, because Pinson not really showing his best stuff, I think, on the pick. I wonder if you go for something maybe like a Seraphine for that bot lane, or that can potentially be flexed around to set up whichever matchup you really prefer. 404, meanwhile, going to be locking in the Jinx, so an ADC that I really, really like right now in the current meta. It just seems super busted, especially the way she scales once that Q gets max rank. The rockets are launching from far away, and we even, Stu, are going to have to keep our eyes close on the big objectives and how low they're going to get, because Jinx Super Mega Death Rocket has an absolutely insane execute. I know Wild Turtle back in the day made it look a little too easy with getting those dragon steals, but she's still a menace right now in the current meta. But we see Kai'Sa showing up talking about meta.
Yeah, we still don't know where this Volibear is going to be taken, whether it's for Pinson or Adam on the side of Virtual, so they still have that flex available, but it does look like the response, actually, that 404 says to the Kai'Sa is actually going to be the Rammus. It's one of the most annoying things to have to deal with as an AD carry. So I'm very curious to see, how Atari is going to utilize this, but we do see, as you had mentioned, both the bot lanes are picked. Jinx Nautilus versus the Kai'Sa. And honestly, both of these carries, they're late game monsters. So it'll definitely be one of I would give the advantage over to Jinx in terms of, who has the advantage in terms of the scaling competition. But Kai'Sa's right up there. So we'll have to see if, who's going to win that scaling fight, Kraid or Jags Money.
Yeah, and looking at the second phase of bans rolling in, Stu, no surprises here. The Gnar going to be taken away by Virtual Esports. Do not want Red Rift getting his hands on that safe top laner here. Yasuo has been banned away from Ollie, so he's not going to be able to get his favorite champion on the Rift once again. I think we unfortunately might see that champion banned away from him across this entire season, just because of the games and experience he has on the champion. I reckon the day we see him on the Rift, when one of the teams sleeps on just how good the Yasuo can be. But looking at safe top laners, sure, you ban away the Gnar, but the Shen is going to be the choice for Red. That's going to make playing around the bot lane even easier for 404.
I got to tell you, 404 right now, if I'm Jags Money, I'm grinning like pretty big. This is to have 3 very big meatballs to stand in front of a Jinx while she can just sit in the back and DPS. That's going to be cool. I want to see if Jags Money is able to utilize this. And honestly, you mentioned Seraphine earlier. It's still on the table. If they wanted to throw Vin on that and just completely, kind of do a protected Jinx comp with Jags Money, they definitely could. Like, that's an option they still have. And it looks like, actually, for Virtual, their answer to Shen is going to be the Garen.
The safe Victor pick and the Garen comfort coming through from Adam. One of his most played champions. No surprise to see it come out here. The Judgment, Garen spin to win ability. Not too bad going into the Shen, so I wonder maybe if it's been a while since Red Rift has gone against a Garen in lane, maybe he's been a little separated from the early levelers trying to play Garen, the bronzies, silvers, trying to work their way up in the ladder with the Garen, because I feel like we don't see Garen a whole heck of a lot on the Rift anymore, just because of, I think, the way his champion kit works. Not a lot of CC, but a whole lot of damage is going to be coming through, as maybe Demacian Justice is going to catch some people off guard here tonight.
We'll have to see. It's definitely something that, Adam was kind of upset that he had to play, melee into a Gnar. And he said, you know what? I want a bit of an advantage this time. I'm playing Garen. I don't care what my team thinks. But, it's definitely something that, Virtual does seem to trust Adam on. So they are going to give it to him. And actually in the mid lane, it is funny enough to see that both the mids from last game were banned. Syndra and Ori are off the table. So this time around, it's actually going to be Victor versus Ryze. So still 2 mages, and it'll... I don't really see as much one-shot potential as we saw with the Syndra. Scout of the Week into the Unleashed Power is just, one of the easiest things that that you can pull off and just get a lead with. So it'll
Right.
be a bit harder. We do need to let the Victor scale up a bit to actually get the hex core with the recent update that it's more reliant on your CS rather than just
Yeah.
straight gold and buying it in the shop. So it's
Mhm.
kind of waiting for those a little bit, and obviously Rise is just gonna have to 300 CS join B hack his way into just becoming a scaling monster, just like the Victor's going to.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm looking at Vin to really try to take advantage of the mobility difference between the Rise and the Victor. I think especially early on, it could catch Ollie off guard just how fast that Rise can move, especially when the runes get activated. There's a lot of damage potential coming out of him. And Victor not having a lot of escape tools, only going to have the gravity field to try to drop down and slow down Vin. But looking at how Vin played in game number one, I really don't know if there's going to be a way to slow him down. Looking at the compositions as a whole, though, Stu, I'm wondering if 404 are going to survive this early game because they're going to be going a lot into the scaling. And when it comes down to that, it's going to be a carry matchup. And while I think that might be in their favor, it will be interesting to see how Virtual decide to adapt from game number one.
It'll be weird to see, especially on the side of 404. I am just worried with there's again, I would say not a lot of damage coming out from their composition, but oh my, or Jinx and Rise, like that is a lot of damage. Like even if it's just two characters, that's a lot of damage. So it actually might
Yeah.
be enough to bring them to 2-0. But I mean, on the side of Virtual, I like their draft a lot as well. They also have the beefy frontliners. Having that rel is always going to be a bonus to be able to just have the utility of what that champion does after 20 minutes. And I think Crate is actually I'm really hoping that is able to pick up her ability upgrades on this Kaisa and really try to pop off in these fights, because it was there and we did see he's going for a bit of ambitious plays on the
Yeah.
Tristana, but it was so close for him. I saw the potential to snowball, and I think this time it's going to be a bit better. And I think, especially because Jinx, you have to be a bit more scared early. Like,
Yeah.
you definitely
Yeah.
need at least two items to really feel like a champion. So, if the Kai'Sa Rel can pull something off early, it could, snowball very quickly.
And not only that, Stu, Jag's money on, while he is on the Jinx, and I think that Jinx really, really solid in the meta right now, as I kind of mentioned before, something that's going to be a bit different for him this time around is he doesn't have the safety that goes along with his signature Ezreal pick. His positioning is going to have to be a lot more precise, a lot more planned, and a lot more careful in this one. Not only that, the positioning he has to worry about, but also the engage potential, the Rel Kaisa combo that you just mentioned coming through, as well as Pinson on this volley bear. We saw in game number one just how much he likes to start fights, how ready he was to pull the trigger. His foot looking like it's always on the gas pedal, ready to press that turbo chem tank. Jags Money and Vin have got to be careful in this one.
We'll see if it's going to be a 2-0 for 404 or if Virtual Esport are going to clap back and see if they can bring this to a 3-game series. But before that, we're going to take a quick little break. But right after that, we'll get into game two for this first series of UGL. Don't go anywhere. And here we go. Welcome back to the first series of the spring split of UGL, coming into game two of virtual esport versus 404. And Mock, dude, I mean, man, for that game one, it was definitely a lot going on, and I'm really wondering, is this definitely? I was looking up for Adam. We saw a lot happening on the top side of the map, but they
Yep.
actually, this is his most played, and I'm really
Yep.
starting to think that with giving Adam his biggest comfort champ, and Atari actually, styling on virtual there here in the jungle, actually taunting him a little bit, getting a bit cheeky, but. I'm kind of wondering, do you think that giving at least virtual the comfort pick up in the top side, is this going to be able to make enough of a difference for, alternatively it could be a virtual, top side carry, or is it going to be more bot lane focused and maybe getting crate ahead this time?
Right. I think what is going to be key is how exactly Red Rift plays the early lane phase. In game number one, we saw on the Gnar just how dominant he could be, just how well on a solo level, on an individual play, he's able to get advantages in lane. He's able to dominate Adam just from the get-go, really. And I think going into this one, we'll have to see just how important this comfort pick for Adam is on this Garen, because I think it does play well into the Shen, but Red Rift has a lot of flexibility for how he plays on the map. Not only can he look to engage and go to the bot lane pretty freely, but also impact potentially skirmishes in the river that might pop up in the map.
I still think he did a fantastic job last game, though, because again, it's so hard where not only are you at a disadvantage with Aatrox versus Gnar, but he knew Atari was going to be punishing him on that top side, and he was aware of it for so long and did such a good job in minimizing that it was borderline game changing. Like, that it didn't, escalate to the point it did. But level 2 bot lane, the Jinx Nautilus do have the advantage right now. Crate is going to have to back off. They're still level 1. Meanwhile, up in the top side, Red Rift, seeing if he can get some action on. He's not afraid of Adam's Garen whatsoever, as they're already going back and forth here in the side lanes.
Yeah, different games, same story for the bot lane of 404. Jags inertia popping off, getting the level 2 advantage and doing something with it, being proactive in the lane. Look at the taunt land in. Red wants to fight in this early lane for Adam, not really going the way he wants to.
Proactive is the name of the game here topside. Every time that taunt is off cooldown for Red Rift, and it seems alternatively Nautilus with the hook here down to the bot side, they are constantly going for plays. It's 3 minutes in, we're seeing plenty of aggression. And we'll have to see who comes out on top here in the top side. Red Rift with a massive advantage in health right now. There's no ignites here in the top side. They do both have teleport, so a lot less kill pressure, but Adam right now going to have to reset for the time being.
And that's kind of the natural pressure that Red Rift was able to get off just in game number one. We might have a gank here in the bot lane, though.
Lepson actually wants to get in here. It is the 3v3 as Atari is rolling up. Who's going to be able to get it? The Volibear is stunned out. The exhaust is thrown down, but the Rel taunt's going to be able to buy him some time, but Rel herself is so very low. The Zap is going to be blocked by the Kaiser. The flash forward from the Jinx is going to be Jags Money picking up that first blood for 404.
Kraid tried to put his body on the line, but Mega Pony's death was inevitable. Jags Money gonna burn the flash. Might be susceptible for some future ganks, but getting the first blood gold onto your Jinx is exactly what 404 wanted to do to start off this game. Jags is going to be the hyper carry in this game. Red Rift on the Shen, Atari on the Rammus, Inertia on this Nautilus, the whole squad specializing in engage and protect. They're beautiful, all the eggs in the basket of Jags Money's Jinx. Exactly how 404 wanted to start off this game.
It was pretty cool to see, because I did love that Pinson, I'm going to say, was applying that pressure in the bot side, getting that early gank off to see if they can get the Kaiserrel ahead, but Atari being able to read it, being in the right place in the right time for that counter gank. I think there is something to definitely say to that. The awareness of, overall jungle tracking, even if you have basic knowledge of where the enemy jungler is going to be, you can prevent, disasters from happening. And it looks like Atari's already maybe trying to make a play up on the top side. Adam is aware of it. He's used to the treatment from last game, so he's going to play a little bit far back. And right now, 404, this is kind of where they want to be, as you said. One kill on the Jinx already, and it's, about even just about everywhere else.
And the secret sauce for Red so far in this series has been superior lane management. We'll have to see if Pinson's able to make up for it on the bottom side of the map with some dragon control, but another hook landing.
Another hook. Inertia Gaming on the Nautilus just can't stop when he's just landing them, hook after hook. I was going to say taunts as the Shed teleports in. I was really hoping for something, but here, 5 minutes in, we've already got a massive amount of people here for this dragon. The Garen has not responded. There is no teleport available. It is a 5v4 in favor of 404. They pick up that first dragon being the Infernal.
And that is the global pressure that Red Rift is going to be bringing to this game. I know I'm harping on the Shen a lot so far in this early game, but I think it's for good reasons, Stu, because not only does he make the right teleport play, he's able to now go back up to top lane, will have Stand United available shortly. He is going to lose quite a bit of CS, but the early dragon going the way of 404 is really, really nice. They want any sort of advantage they can find to really help them get to the late game scaling and to be ahead when they get to that point. And what I think they're going to be looking for in order to just completely stomp over Virtual in the late game is potentially a Dragon Soul. It's going to either be Ocean or Mountain, which is absolutely game changing.
The confidence difference from game 1 to game 2 for 404, we saw actually down in the bot lane, Jags Money picking up a kill on Narelle. Pony is going to be falling with her Pony as well. So that's another kill going on. That Jinx is definitely a threat that, Virtual needs to worry about. And as I was going to say, we saw last game in game 1, it was 8 to 9 minutes until we saw first blood. But 404 this time around, it is just nonstop action. And they say, hey, listen, we can get a lead and we can roll with it. So they're trying to take as much of an advantage with it right now as they can. Rammus actually maybe looking for a gank up at the top side. Adam is in some trouble. He does have the flash available, but Pinson is here as well. The Realm Warp is going to come in to maybe save the day, turn the tides of the fight. 3v2, the Shenton is going to be able to land. But Volibear maybe still looking to turn, but they're going to decide to walk away from this one for now, knowing that they they are not at the numbers advantage. And right now, 404, when it comes to, as I was saying, making these plays happen, they've got the Realm Warp utilized. They're pulling out all the stuff.
And their communication has been really solid, I think, through this entire series. We see, as we kind of mentioned before, I think looking at how well they managed the fights in game number 1, just how they're always on the same page, able to group up, able to macro really well together. Vin going to be using his teleport to get back into the mid lane, wants to try to maintain some advantage. It's pretty even so far between him and Ollie. We'll have to see which of these mid laners are going to be able to make the plays happen when the next team fight happens. Both of these squads have loved fighting over the dragon, so I think we're going to have a little bit of a charge up here as 2 minutes and 20 seconds away from, I think, the next big fight.
We do see that Virtual isn't wanting to be as standoffish in this next dragon, where Rel is actually going to be able to stop Inertia for a little bit. He's taken very low. That's not only going to be the Stand United, but the heal coming out from Jags Money as well, and is yet another 3v3 here. And, it's still one of those things where they turn the tides of the fight, and then, we just disengage a little bit. And it's, it was almost a pick for Virtual, and I was really hoping to see them pick up a kill down in the bot side, but not going to be able to find it just yet, even though Pinson is still hovering down there.
That is going to seriously hurt Red Rift. He's been doing a solid job making sure he's been exerting that global pressure. We do see Pinson in the spot lane, but I want to highlight the advantage Adam is bringing.
And, Nautilus Hook goes wide, but you got to keep in mind as a 2v3, that is going to be the Jinx flashing away. The Choppers do go down and root up the Volibear, but he's still going to be looking. The Exhaust is down, but the Volibear roll is going to come out. But a lot of damage coming out from the Jinx, and actually another hook being found onto the Rel, taken very low. She's going to go in to see if she can get a little bit more CC, and it's going to end up going in their favor, taking out Inertia Gaming, but Atari is here to respond on the bot side. He's getting Kai'Sa taunted up. It's going to be Kraid flashing away, and even though it's a 3v2, they have a very tanky Rammus to worry about, and Jinx is Zoom, but very strong already.
You have no mana, Jags! You have no mana, my guy! The Rockets aren't able to come through. auto attacks and ult, neither of them able to get utilized, and thus Virtual able to walk away from that fight with a lot of low health bars. Jag's money is still going to be a huge late game carry threat. Not only does he have the kill lead, Vin meanwhile popping off in the mid lane, huge play there. That was kind of the mobility I was talking about that comes with the rise. Vin didn't even have to use flash. That was really huge. Now this is going to be a big advantage for this upcoming drag fight. Look at the vision control coming down immediately, Stu.
Even for the Raptors, they're making sure that they have everyone here available, just trying to minimize Pinson's farm as much as he can and really shut him out of the game, knowing that he's really the main one on Virtual that are trying to make these plays happen. The solo lanes are, mostly, off doing their own thing. Right now, Dragon is up, and it's 404s as they pick up the second one for the game. And it looks like Virtual just not wanting to contest anything right now, and they're going to wait out their items a bit and see if they can get a bit stronger before they get a lead rolling of their own.
And it is going to be a Mountain Rift 404. Happy with this, certainly going to make the team fights really, really difficult. And if they continue to build an advantage early on, if they find themselves with a 3,000 gold lead at around the 20-minute mark, just like they did last game, the armor and magic resist bonuses just get amplified when you have the item advantages just because of these subtle lane differences. Right now, though, Red Rift on the Shen, the one who is supposed to be getting all beefy and tanky, getting a little shut down. It's a different story from both of these teams as they've kind of swapped identities almost, as Red Rift's looking for the fight.
The 1v1 in the top side, Adam is not scared despite how low he is, and the ult coming out is going to destroy Red Rift, bring him into the ground, but Atari is not going to let his comrade fall without cost. He's going to be able to taunt up that Garen. He does manage to hit level 10. That level up might be just the thing that saves him. The movement speed from the Q is actually going to be enough to get him out in time. The Ram is Q.
It
comes in, and that's going to be a goal coming out from Atari. Takes him down, and actually over in the mid lane, Alibaba decides at the same time to take a kill of his own while all that's happening in the top side. Vin being taken out for his first time in the game, and it's dead even in golden right now, even though it was in favor of 404. Virtual are coming back strong.
Virtual are going to try to give us a series here as Pinson on the Predator Volley Bear, able to find the ganks, is going to be able to find the engages as this game progresses. My question, though, Stu, of this Virtual squad is going to be in 3 minutes around this next Mountain Drake. Are they going to be able to get the fight that they want? Is Red Rift going to be able to just teleport and get immediate access to the fight while Adam is looking for a flank far away from where the fight is happening? I don't know. It's going to be a lot of important setup, I think, because I know Pinson, he's going to see that dragon spawn. He's going to get worried about the deficit, and he's going to want to try to look for a contest, look for some sort of steal or fight. We saw it time and time again in game number 1. I wonder if Virtual are going to have to learn the same lesson over again, or are they going to try a little bit of a different approach? Are they going to be able to prioritize their targets right?
I loved up in that skirmish for the top side. Adam was so very low on health, but he knows his champion. It's what's giving people these comfort picks is so scary, is they know what they can get away with. We saw Red Rift, maybe turn back, actually taunting up Adam under the turret, maybe Adam biting off a bit more than he can do. Tries to turn it. He's actually getting the E, and the ult is not going to be enough as Red Rift takes down Adam. And otherwise in the mid lane, Vin is going to be taken down with Pinson, getting a successful gank off with Alibaba. And now, even though something happens in the top side, it's cause and effect. Whatever happens up in the top side, something else is going to happen in the mid lane. You know what I mean?
Newton smiling down. I wonder if there's a League of Legends Isaac Newton that declared those laws. Regardless, it's really, really nice for Virtual to get Alibaba some more gold. Last game on the Orianna, he understood what his role needed to be in the big late game fights. On the Orianna, it was find huge shockwaves, and he was able to execute beautifully. Now he has a level lead in this mid lane. He's no longer behind. He no longer has to worry about the Syndra one-shot potential. Vin has a harder job to execute in this one. And right now, he's struggling a little bit in the mid lane. Pinson, I wanted him to focus Vin in the last game, and he didn't really do a good job in the late game team fights to lock down that Syndra. This time around, he's being much more proactive with it, Stu. This time he's focusing down Vin before the fight even begins.
It's very scary to me where this 404 comp, despite the lead they had accumulated, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yes, Rise does a lot of damage, but in my mind, if Virtual are able to find that pick off onto the Jinx, it is hard to imagine a world where, 404 can just beat Virtual head on if the Jinx is dead. And they have plenty of tools for that. And I think that, if the Kai'Sa's able to go in with a killer instinct, if they're able to get a great Rel engage off, that's all they really need to be able to turn the tides of the fight and maybe start getting more objectives into their hands. And speaking of which, there is this next dragon going for the Earth Soul here in 15 seconds. It's still their third dragon of the game, though.
Rift Herald was picked up by Virtual. A lot of members around this objective. Adam is here, which I like to try to start off this fight. Who's going to pull the trigger?
He's so very close to the bush. The Nautilus is here. He can start off a fight anytime he wants. They actually shoot a skill shot, let himself be known, but the hook is going to be able to find Adam. The taunt is going to find him as well, and they absolutely shred him as Atari takes down Adam. And now 404 having the 5v4 advantage are going to look towards this dragon.
That is not a tanky Garen. Pinson already backing off. It looks like 404 is going to go to Soul Point.
The Rel is trying to see what he can find. Not going to be able to get anything as 404, as you said, do secure this third dragon of the game. They are one away from not only having... It's so scary that a Shen Nautilus as well as Rammus are all going to have this Earth Soul if, Virtual lets them get away with it. But they're going to start with getting a fight of their own. Their Stand United comes out for the Nautilus. It does save with the lowest sliver of health. Vin picks up the kill on the Pinson. Rammus walking out, but he might powerball back in. The Rel is rooted up by the Rise. The Shen is here with him. The Flash Forward isn't going to be enough. Shutdown is going to go to Ali Bobby. Right now, they are still so very low and looking for what they can do. The Rel is still here hovering as now the Nautilus is recalling. It looks like they're going to reset and take what they can get. It's still an even game.
Victor's third arm has, I think, justifiably earned the name Death Ray for good reason, even able to melt through the hard shell of Atari's Rammus. Looking at the gold for each of these players, shocker here for Virtual here. This time around, a different story from game number one. It's Alibaba leading the way on the Rift. It's going to be up to this Victor to really pull through in game number one. All the eggs were in the Tristana basket. This time around, Virtual, they've invested in this Victor. They've invested in their stud in the mid lane. He's not quite at the Lich Bane point, but even just looking at that mid lane skirmish, the Victor is a serious threat that 404 are going to have to worry about for pretty much the rest of the game.
Something we do need to keep our eyes on. Kraid does have the Kai'Sa Q Evolve finally under his belt. He's got the Serrated Dirk, probably going for that Collector. But right now, that's one of the most important power spikes that they can worry about for this Virtual squad. And they do see Pinson maybe trying to capitalize, knowing that, seeing what they can do down on the bot side. Seeing if they can start anything off here. They are getting swept out for their vision, knowing that they do have to be careful. The Volibear is not showing. All it can take is a Nautilus hook, knowing that he's not there. And it could be a 3v2 in Virtual's favor, but looks like Pinson, I was going to say back off for now, but he's still hovering his bot side pretty heavily.
He's got the Predator boots and the Turbo Chem Tank available. He is ready to put the Nitros to use.
Inertia, you're all alone, buddy. You do have Atari on the side, but how fast can they take down the Nautilus? It's not going to be very fast. The hook does go wide. The Powerball is going to come in. The Nautilus ult as well, but that's going to be Pinson going unstoppable with the Volibear ult coming out. And the three-man Rel ult is going to be able to stop the members of 404. Right now, the Jinx is slapping back. The Jinx is getting the resets, a double kill, and that's going to be the Killer Instinct coming in. Kraid picking up a kill. A double kill for Alibaba as they're looking for the Rise. The flash over the wall is going to be Vin falling, and a triple kill goes over to Alibaba.
Massive Alibaba, the mid laner for Virtual, coming up huge. Now 5-1-2 in that triple kill can certainly turn things around, but we've got a potential Mountain Soul in 2 minutes. I don't know if the Victor damage is going to be enough if 404 does get to that point, but that kind of fight was what Virtual needed to come back in this game to really try to make that next dragon fight a little bit more even. And right now, 404 getting caught out, not having the flexibility and the burst damage that they had in game number 1. The fights are a little bit trickier, and in that 4-on-4 setup, Red Rift not having the Stand United available, that was Virtual's fight to win. And look at the health bar on Red Rift.
Looking for a kill of his own. Rammus is here to see if he can respond. Is going to be able to land the taunt, but unless the Q movement speed for Adam is going to be able to take out Red Rift, and you've still got 2 enemies to go, Adam, are you going to be able to take him on? But Vin says, no, I'm going to send you back to base. As now, again, it's still 10-10. Adam showing that he is not afraid to get into the faces of 404 right now. And again, from that last fight, I gotta say, it was, I've been looking at the name more, and I'm not sure if it's Igor Lepinson. Either way, Pinson on this Volibear. It was the Volibear Rel ult combo. We saw it was a huge ult from Mega Pony that was able to save and turn the tides of that fight for Virtual. Yep. And now it has them in the game. The Kaisa has her Gale Force finish. It's scary that there still are some items on the Jinx, but it is, he's catching up, and it is still, it's a dead even game, except the fact that there is still a little bit of a gold lead in the favor of Virtual right now. But this can be anybody's game right now, and it all depends on what this Ryze and Jinx can do. If the beefy front lines can actually, create that space for him, or if Alibaba here on this Victor is going to continue dominating and showing his prowess on the champion. Right now, Virtual are trying to clear out some vision. That's going to be the Rel getting rooted up. Another root from the Nautilus auto. Volibear is actually going to scare him away to save his support's life just in the nick of time. But right now, that does give him the 5v4 advantage, and the Earth Soul is up for 404. This is very important for them to start off a fight here. Are they going to be able to find it? Again, the Rel is so low, you're not going to be able to have that gauge opportunity, but here's Adam looking into the faces of 404 right now. He's going to get stuck up, and all the members of Virtual are in. They're engaging for it. That's going to be the Rel, and that is going to be Virtual taking that Dragon. They're going to take out that Jinx. The Rammus is next. The Ryze is almost down, but he lives. Vin is able to live with just a sliver of health. The Volibear knows, and he's going to flash forward to finish him off. Pinson ain't going to have any of that, and Alibaba is going to finish off 404 with the ace at 22 minutes.
Virtual come up big. They buy their time. Mega Pony takes the express train explosive cone over the wall and just sends it for the team. Some misfights around the Dragon. I think it was actually the Rel who managed to secure it. In Virtual find the engage that they were hoping to look for in game number 1. This time around, it's all coming together as they prevent the Mountain Soul getting picked up by 404, and now they find themselves with a 3.5k gold lead.
That was Mega Pony. There are so many people that even with the sliver of health, again, I'd have to check. It had to be like 100 or sub 100 health that this Rel had, and still the commitment. Taking that blast plant over, going for the Dragon, and that Rel ult is what completely saved it. It, prevented a target from smiting. It was able to stun up the members of 404, and it was just a massive game-changing play. And right now, up in the top side, it looks like Kraid might be in some trouble, but he does have the Rel with him. The teleport is coming out. This might go anybody's way. It's 2 teleports, and here is Ryze going to get stunned up by the Rel, seeing if the Kaisa Killer Instinct can finish him off, doing a lot of damage, but level 9 to level 13 is a little bit harder to take him out, and that's going to be Jags Money picking up the Mega Pony. And now Kaisa's on the side trying to DPS what you can. The Ryze is very low, but that's going to be Pinson actually up on the top side. The Jinx is all alone getting taken out. A shutdown actually taking out the Kaisa, but Vin gets a shutdown of his own. The Nautilus is so very low, and Volibear is the only one left alive up in the top side. The Power Ball is looking for the Volibear, but he goes the wrong way. Maybe he doesn't want him in the end, and that's okay. Baron is up, and there are 4 members of 404 alive, but they don't think they can do it, especially with Ryze being that low.
What a bold Realm Warp to try to finish off Ollie. Vin was like 1 second away, I think, from just absolutely getting bopped in the face by trying to teleport onto the Victor like that. Ollie having a huge gravity field, but can't work his way through the tanks. That's why 404 desperately, I think, kind of needed that Mountain Soul to try to close out this game. We see already not a lot of damage from the Victor at the moment to push through those tanks. Just think of how much worse it gets once the Mountain Soul Shield comes online. But the way Virtual have been playing around these objectives, even managing to win the Dragon fight despite the Mega Pony on 100 HP. They've been doing a really solid job. This game is going to come down to the precise execution here in these team fights. Stu, who is going to make the big play here in this one? Because right now it is anyone's game for the taking.
404, it was hard to see with that fight being so spread, but they left Jags Money alone up in the top side. And as soon as the big, beefy meatballs for Jinx are gone, she's useless. It doesn't matter how far ahead Jags Money is, and Virtual knows this. They know that all they have to do, take out Jinx, half of their comp is gone. You still have Vin that is very fed on the rise right now, but it is so much easier for Virtual to get an advantage if they can, do what Pinson did, which is, single out the Jinx, take her out, get what you can afterwards.
And Adam is going to have to be careful about his positioning while he's trying to split push. We've seen Atari on a dime make his way up to the top lane for a single overextension. Stu, we've got this upcoming Dragon in about a minute. Is Atari going to get caught out? Not quite yet. Is playing around with the explosive cone can be a little dangerous. Virtual going to be just fine, and they're going to try to set up for this objective.
They're just trying to take out the outers for now. They do know that the Dragon is up in less than a minute, but 404 is here on the side. They need something to happen. They need to make sure that, as you said, Jags Money needs to stay in a safe position. He is at a 2-item point on this Jinx right now with both the Kraken and the Runons, and he can just completely decimate a fight as long as he's not blown up. And right now, the Powerball from Atari is coming out, seeing if they find Pinson. Is he going to be the one that's taunted up? It is indeed. And that's actually going to be him taking down very low, a little below half of the Volibear ult is going to come out, and the Rel stun on 2 of the members of 404 is going to stun up the Jinx, but he's going to be taken out. There's no one else to follow up. The Volibear's too low. The Victor's getting low as well. A lot of damage is coming out for him, but here's Adam on the side. The State United comes out, is going to keep the Jinx in perfect condition. Atari does manage to fall to Adam, but Jinx is still alive, and that's all they need. The Mega Death Rocket is going to take up indeed Adam, and that's all they're going to need to keep going. The Zap isn't going to find it, but now the Earth Soul is all in 404's hands.
The Drake, the targets are locked. Jags with the safe positioning. I was worried there for a bit that Red was holding on to the Stand United for too long. Smite is available. Is it going to get... Oh my gosh!
The Thunder from Pinson does manage to steal away what would have been Earth for 404. The Smite is not even needed. There's no flash available. There's no blast plan, anything like that, and that is not anything this Thunder Bear needs, as that is a massive, massive play for Virtual. Wow, that is not what I anticipated.
That's a 404 error right there. The whole team was not thinking of that one. That's rough. That's a little rough. But at least for 404, they do have some really big scaling that's starting to come through. Jags Money, with getting a lot of kills in that fight, is certainly ahead of Kraid at the moment. He's not quite at the 3-item power spike of the Jinx. He's trying to get there pretty quickly. We'll have to keep a close watch on that, as a solo kill going over to Ollie in the bot lane. Top lane action, though, right now.
Seeing if they can do anything. Alibaba was able to come out victorious in that one-on-one, but are they able to make anything happen on the top side of the map? It is a 5v4 advantage with this Baron up right now, and I do want to apologize for Virtual Esports, as I've been mispronouncing the Volibear's name, and a lot of people are saying Igor, so I'm going to say that from now on, and I do sincerely apologize. I should have asked him beforehand, but regardless, even though it was a 5v4, they were able to take out Vin. They're not jumping on the Baron opportunity, and right now they're kind of just, playing footsies mid, seeing if they can maybe take on a fight head on, and, maybe knowing that Vin is off the map, they just want to keep farming it up. Jinx is getting very close to her Infinity Edge. We see the 3 components of it, and it's going to be scary when she finishes that off, but, Kai'Sa also getting close to that 3-item point. Both of these carries, and nearly 30 minutes into the game, we did see Jags Money was able to be cognizant of the fact that all he has to do is stay alive, and we saw how that turns out in the bot side fight, where they can just wipe everything thereafter as long as he doesn't get blown up. We saw a great engage, I thought, from Mega Pony on this Rel. He was right in the faces of 404, but there just wasn't any follow-up, and Virtual needs to make sure they're on the same page if they want to take out the carries of 404.
Jag's going to try to look for a recall with that Infinity Edge completion. I wonder, is this going to be an opportunity for Virtual? They have a lot of damage with the Kaisa, not a lot of vision control from 404. Maybe a potential error coming through. We do have the Super Mega Death Rocket to keep an eye on.
And here it comes. Is it going to be enough to take away the Baron? It is! 404 with the Super Mega Death Rocket takes away the Baron, gets revenge for the Dragon, but Adam is not done. He takes out Atari, but that's going to be Vin falling. That is 2 of the members of 404 down, with Virtual having the Baron, and Igor's going forward, and he wants to find more, but right now they know all they need to do, even though Pony made the sacrifice, they just got to send 4 down with this Baron buff.
And with Baron Nashor going over to Jag's money, that's absolutely massive for 404, staying in this game, for buying themselves some time until this next Dragon fight. They are hoping and praying they can pick up this Mountain Soul, because look at the items that are starting to come through. Alibaba close to a Void Staff, and after that is going to come the Rabadons. Ollie's going to be crazy on this Victor, but this is a 2v3 in the bot lane.
It is a 2v3, and Kraid's going to play very safe, decides to fly. He's going to have to leave Igor behind. The poor guy is making a valuable sacrifice. Thank you for letting the carry get away. I feel it from the bottom of my heart. You are doing a great service. Thank you for all the Kaisas and Jinx of the world that the Volibear will die for us. So Igor making the sacrifice with 404 does manage to basically clap back with the opportunity they have now with that Baron buff. A fantastic Jinx ult coming out from Jag's money. The timing of that ultimate, I was sitting there watching it, and I was like, it's probably a long shot. He's sending that. I don't think they have vision on it, and bam. It is, you called it towards the beginning of this game. Like, again, it wasn't even 2 minutes in. You're like, yeah, dude, the Jinx Rocket, it could steal an objective. I'm like, yeah, sometimes.
Sure.
But 404 decide, yeah, we'll show you it can happen, and we'll do it. So they do manage this Baron. It is on, I believe, 3 of the members of 404. I see it on 2, but I believe, actually, no, I believe it's only on 2. Okay, it's 3. There we go. The Nautilus does have it. So thank you so much for the cameraman. Also doing a fantastic job, so making sure that we can see what the advantages that 404 has from that Jinx Rocket. But Virtual, still about 1k gold lead, and Dragon is up in 15 seconds. Are 404 able to get this, or is it going to be the Soul prologued yet again by Virtual?
And this was some kind of awkward recall timings from the side of 404. It's actually Virtual that get the head on the objective. Here's a big fight!
The Blast Plan is going to get, Nautilus into some trouble, but the Rise is on the side with the Jinx all the way in the back. Jag's Money's going to be able to take down Rel, and they're all the way in the backside. They can kind of get whatever free damage they want. Right now, the Rise picking up a double kill. The Realm Warp is going to come in, and Kraid actually going to take out Inertia, but that's going to be Alibaba getting taunted up, and now 3 members of 404 are still alive. They're looking for those Earth Soul. It might be a Kraid W. If we saw the Jinx Rocket, this might be a Kaisa W, unless he just runs in. The Jinx doing so much damage, 430 a crit. The Super Mega Death Rocket is not going to be able to reach him, but that Earth Soul is going to go to 404.
I'm going to be honest, Stu, that's kind of looking more like a Kaisa L, as the Mountain Soul coming online is going to be a huge difference maker for these team fights. Sure, the Void Staff now coming online. Kraid trying to get some mixed damage in on the Kaisa with Nashor's Tooth, but the key figure, the key person on the side of 404 that we've kind of been talking about this entire game as being the carry for this team is Jag's Money, and the Mountain Soul will certainly help him stay alive. The extra shielding to protect him from the Volibear dive coming in is really, really helpful. And now off of this recall, I think we might see a 4th item coming online.
I've watched a good amount of competitive League of Legends at several different tiers, but this game has my heart going. It has been a back and forth, and Adam tugging at my heartstrings as he's trying to take out Vin all on his own, and the Garen ult's going to be huge as he gets a shutdown off onto Vin. And again, even though they picked up that Earth Soul, Virtual is not done yet.
The shield may protect you temporarily, but it cannot protect you forever from the sword of Adam's Garen. 7 in 8. Those 7 kills making a big difference, but has he overextended once again?
Is he able to take on 3 people? This is a big Garen, but I don't know if he's able to take 3 on. He's trying to get away as fast as he can. The Nautilus ult comes out. They are burning a lot to be able to take out Adam. Jag's Money's going to be on a rampage, though. 8 and 3 on this Jinx. as now it is an even amount of people in the map. It is a 4-on-4 Shen in the bot side trying to split push with the pressure that he can. And right now, again, it is so back and forth. Again, this game can go either way, and it makes me so hyped because all of these players are trying their absolute best right now. And
The
here's
Rocket
Ramus
Race.
trying to make something happen. He's going in as fast as he can. The Chem Tank is going to be able to get the taunt landed onto the Rel, but no damage is following up, except the Jinx is able to get in range now. And look at that Runon's damage as Vin comes in from the side, takes out Mega Pony, and Jags Money able to take out Igor. So now it is only, two members on the side of Virtual right now. And in a game where they were coming back so strong, they are now having to worry about 5 members of 404 knocking on their base right now as we speak.
Now is the time to invest in Jags Money. The stonks on this marksman, absolutely ridiculous. As 404 show here today that not only can their solo laners dominate, but they also have a marksman AD carry that they can trust to be clutch, to come up big in the big team fights and take over a game. Right now, they do have a small gold lead, but with the Mountain Soul, I think the way they play around objectives, I wonder if Virtual are going to be able to find an opening.
Now, there's a lot of people running around the map right now. Each team is trying to find an advantage they can push. And I got to tell you, man, we could argue about a VIP, but chat of the game is definitely going over to Adam right now. And the guys up in the top side taking on 3 people. The amount of pressure this guy is soaking is absolutely phenomenal. Right now, it's still a 5v5. 404, he's going to swipe away this Baron. There is going to be no response from Virtual right now unless they're able to pick someone off as they're leaving. But 404 playing this steadily and going towards their win condition.
Not only is that going to be the Baron going over to 404, but Stu, we got to think about the end game. We got to think about the long con. If Baron somehow isn't enough, right? On top of the Mountain Soul that's already been picked up, in 2 minutes and 13 seconds, the Elder Dragon is going to be spawning as well. Yet another potential win condition for 404, but also a potential win condition for Virtual. If they can try to hold on here and look for a crazy fight around the Elder Drake, they might be able to come back into this one, but they got to find the engage onto Jags. Igor, Lippinson, you got to come up big, my guy. You got to use the Predator boots straight on to Jags Money to try to look for some sort of engage. And maybe Kraid, with the Miracle Killer instinct, goes into the back line and pops off. I think that's the only way Virtual are able to try to turn this game around.
I'm telling you, not all hope is lost for Virtual right now. They are having to see if they can defend against this Baron buff. It's going to be quite a task, but look at the Victor, Alibaba, level 18 right now, sitting on 4 items and almost that Rabadon's, but the Jinx absolutely decimating that turret. She's going to get excited seeing what damage she can get. The Super Mega Death Rocket is not going to be able to land on the Adam, but here's Volibear getting absolutely shredded by Jags Money, who is completely dominating right now. 10-3 on this Jinx right now. They're knocking on the door of Virtual's base or seeing if they can close this game out. They have the mid inhib. They're going to be able to get the top inhib. And right now, you're going to take the Realm Warp, actually, to exit in style.
Thumbs up emote. 404 playing in their comfort zone. Jags Money close to complete items, a full inventory stocked up for him as the rocket range is starting to kind of take over. Not only can Virtual not find the fight they need, they aren't able to even approach this 404 squad as this is another turret just getting melted down by Jags.
Here's the thing, though. Elder Dragon, 25 seconds. If Virtual are somehow able to sweep this away from 404, that can be all they need to turn the tides of one fight and just completely run through the base of 404, bringing it to a game 3. Again, the Kaisa getting towards her 4th item. The Victor, so very big as well. And even Garen definitely having more of a bruiser build despite being this very scary frontline tank. All they need to do, take out that Jinx, and it might be all you need to win this game. The Elder Dragon being started, but look at the damage actually coming out from 404, absolutely shredding this. Who's it going to go over to? The Volibear goes in, and that Elder Dragon is going to go over to 404, and now they just need to win this next fight, and that's going to be the Jinx taking out, or Vin is going to take out Adam, and look at the damage. The Rise is on the backside. The Zonies is going to come out for style, and a triple kill goes over to Vin, and Kaisa, the only one left alive. That is a very fast Ramus to taunt that up, and a Super Mega Death Rocket is not going to take her out, but the Ramus is, and Atari showing up big here as the rest of the members of 404 right now finishing off that ace of the game. 39 minutes in, take it away from Virtual Esports.
They get the objectives, they take the fight, and the stonks on Jag's money, absolutely redonkulous. 404 starting off the spring split on a fantastic note, as that's going to be a 2-0 over Virtual.
That was an insane, for a 40-minute game. I did not think I was going to be tugged around that much. That again, from Virtual being able to stay or steal away that fourth dragon, preventing that soul, and then the super. You called it. I didn't believe you. I should have had faith. Jag's money, super mega death rocket, taking away that Baron, and honestly, I think it won him the whole game.
That was the critical turning point. The shot heard round the rift in this one is 404 able to come back from seemingly impossible odds from losing 2 Drakes in a row. The mental was still strong. They didn't get tilted and they focused on their win condition. Red Rift specifically made me nervous a couple times, but the man did his job with making sure Jags was able to free fire in those fights. And with the beefy front line of trying to work through not only Rammus, but Shen and Nautilus on top of that, Vin and Jags able to sit comfortably in the back line is just not the ideal free fire situation that Virtual was ever going to be able to win based on the compositions, I think.
Team 404 taking a dominating 2-0 victory versus Virtual Esport. And again, even though they didn't give Jags money the Ezreal, he showed that, 40-minute Jinx, it's a little strong. let me show you what this thing can do. So,
yeah,
again, if I saw the gold graph again, I cannot imagine the roller coaster that this game went on. And again, Adam picking up kills up in the top lane. He was a force. They had to send 3 up to him towards the end. Again, like every time they just sent 1 up to Adam, he killed them. It was pretty scary. Again, every individual player, and I think as well, Pony on Rel, again, saved the game, especially with that 4th dragon. And overall, again, there were players that showed up more than I would have anticipated for the series. Again, even just, oh my gosh, I can't get over it. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and I do want to shout out Virtual for the way they started off this split. A valiant effort, especially in game number 2. Ollie is a mid laner we're going to have to keep a close watch on as the split continues, as well as Adam, who managed to pull off a couple of pretty solid solo kills, especially on his signature Garen pick. I hope he just takes some lessons from this first series here in the UGL of not trying to overextend as much as making sure that he's on the same page with his team. If he's pushing ahead in that top lane, well, where's the jungler going to be? Well, where's the rest of the rotations going to be coming through? Virtual, a valiant effort again, want to emphasize that, but a little shifty on the shot calling, I think, on calling out the rotations. I hope we see some communication improvements kind of foster and grow through the course of the rest of this split, because the team fighting potential of this squad, they were certainly able to go toe-to-toe constantly with 404.
We saw the coordination, we saw the effort. It was a great series. And again, otherwise, I believe we are going to be wrapping it up. I mean, Mac Dewey, do you have anything else to begin to finish off the broadcast? Any final words about, again, one of the, I would say, better series I've watched? I did not anticipate I was going to get so hyped for actually, I'm telling you, dude, UGL is where it's at.
Exactly. You never know what is going to happen, even when you see the champions locked in. Who would have thought we saw the Volibear E Dragon steal? Who would have thought we saw the huge Jinx ultimate? Actually, the prophecy come into fruition. Ragnarok for Virtual occurring, the worst case scenario for them. Their mini Asgard, their metaphor of Asgard kind of falling in this one. Some really exciting League of Legends action here to start off what is sure to be just as exciting of a split.
Well, for the rest of the split, again, you can catch us here at Upsurge GG for UGL, I believe 8 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays to catch up future games. Again, I don't think you want to miss these. I think these are actually fantastic to tune into. And otherwise, please make sure to follow all of the social medias of Upsurge, whether it be the Twitch or the Twitter. Make sure to stay up to date and see if you can follow some of your favorite players, because there's a lot of people participating. So otherwise, thank you so much, Mac Dewey. It was a pleasure casting with you. And for all those that are watching, thank you so much for supporting Upsurge, and we'll see you next time.